Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you joining us here in the booth tonight. Patrick Morrison here with 10-4 Broadcasting and Kynan Jones, who will give us the insider thoughts and strategies on the track. We would like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsor, Admin Box, for coming aboard and believing in our broadcasting station as well as the leagues we call for. We would also like to thank Chapman Environmental Services, who make this league's races possible. Last week at Pocono, the Racing Revolution League gave some of the drivers competing a sour taste in their mouth. Only 3 laps were completed before a major miscalculation between Robert Rader and Kevin Orlando, causing over 11 drivers to be seriously damaged. Even after that, another accident actually happened. Later in the race, unfortunately, landed driver Ted Rekic in a suspension for this race. So we will not see him, but we will see him next week. But tonight, multiple pile-ups aren't the normal here at the Alabama Mile. That's right, we're here for the running of the Do It for Dale 212 here at Talladega. Talladega is a monster 2.6-mile track with a 3-lane high banking and loads of speed in these Xfinity cars. So how much speed, you might ask? Bill Elliott set the fastest time back in 1987 at 212 miles an hour. Since then, they've kind of restrictor played these things, and I believe Mark Martin had the second fastest time at 188. Really, the key to winning tonight is finding draft partners, fuel mileage, and staying out of the big one. So really, Kynan, what else should we look out for here?
Pit strategy is going to play a big part if you can put yourself in the right position just to stay out of a wreck, and also you'll see drivers also pulling back early on, just trying to conserve their stuff, just trying to have a car to be there in the end.
All right, and we're going to get us through our first order here. Looks like Kevin Orlando went ahead and took the pole tonight. Robert Rader in second. Adam Bowden, Ray Lane, Blake Cook round out your top 5. We got Nick Alves, Albert Likens, Michael Bennett, David Stanfield, and Jacob Sirkovich. That'll round out the top 10 from there. So really, to see these guys getting through this is really coming up with some fast times. Looks like we got Justice Murphy in the 11, Logan Romney in the 12th position. I believe Peyton Presley. Boy, I'm getting tongue-tied here tonight, having a heck of a time, but hopefully I kind of get this worked out. Caleb Gilbert in that 40 machine back there in 14th with Trevor Earhart. Actually a little slower tonight back there in the 15th position. Tay McDonald in the 16th. James Loveland back in the 17th position, back in that 02 car. I definitely expect to see him working his way up. Scott Negus in the 18th. Travis Gilbert in the 19th. Brandon Richardson, glad to see him out here tonight in the 20th position. Parker Johnson and Daryl Johnson, 21 and 22 respectively. And I believe Brad Smith, will be race control tonight, if I'm not mistaken. I am wrong. Brad Smith here is on the track in that 08 car. Man, that's we're looking out for a heck of a race here tonight. But you're saying pit strategy. Give me real quick, how's that pit entrance?
It's sketchy, and you want to make sure that you're on the low line when coming into the pits. We even saw it in the real-life Daytona 24-hour this year. An LMP car was up high and had to come down pit, end up clearing out a GT3 car. So you want to be on that low line when coming in, but you've got to be careful not to lock up and slide into the pit entry. Going a little bit too fast will net you a penalty, and that's not what these drivers want.
Right. Really, and real quick, tonight's conditions and the rules. We got about 98-degree track temp, which will be nice for the 5 sets of tires they're allotted. 28 to 32 is what we're looking like for fuel, and there will be a 25-lap competition caution. As we're about to go under green, Kevin Orlando is going to go ahead and take this one for these guys. Notice the restart zone, but this will be the flagman is the one who's going to start this one. So Kevin Orlando has to pass that race line first, and then we're about to see what Robert Rader can do. So really, he's up there in the second position, winning a lot so far this season, seeing that he has 5 races under his belt so far, ended up in one of those tangle-ups at Pocono last week, but is up in that front row here tonight. He did have a bounty on him, I believe, 5 drivers ended up competing and getting that bounty card. Do you know which ones those were?
Yeah, the 13 of Trevor Earhart, the 29 of Brendan Richardson, the 93 of Daryl Johnson, 31 of David Stanfield, and the number 4 of Blake Cook are all competing for the bounty.
Awesome, and there are even more drivers even competing for more to get more spots in that bounty here tonight. Since there are already 5 drivers, these guys are racing for a paint scheme. We discussed that last week if you guys joined us, and really how exciting that has to be, as we're going to kind of zoom in on one of these paint schemes I've kind of taken a look at. Adam Bowden here in that 83, kind of rocking that My Little Pony car, so we're going to throw that one out there for him. So I like to kind of put that pink car in the light here for just a little bit. I think that one's kind of funny out there, but really running behind that Chapman Environmental Services car. But boy, he's giving Robert Rader a heck of a push there, and that's what you're going to see a lot of here tonight, Kynan, is a lot of drafting. But man, you really got to be careful pushing through these turns.
Yeah, these things suck up really quickly on the straight, so you've got to be careful not to go too quickly, and then you've got to also make the turn whilst there's cars all around you. And all it takes is one small little miss bump in the middle of the corner, and then suddenly the car in front of you gets loose. Then if the cars behind you don't notice and then hit you, then you're suddenly pushing the car in front of you even more, and then suddenly the big one happens.
Yeah, and just something to keep in mind. I mean, when you do say that one little mistake, the top 9 cars are within half a second of the lead car. So if somebody messes up there in that front row, you don't have any time to react or any time to get out of there. But do you have any experience with the Xfinity cars here at Talladega?
Fortunately, I do. Unfortunately, though, it was my first race I ever did in the Xfinity car. Ended up being involved in a wreck, but then most recently did a league race, got involved into another wreck, which these things will obviously eventually happen on these sorts of tracks. It's very easy for things to go wrong, but just having that bit of damage, and then had a bit of damage, even though I had fixed it all, I was still 10 miles per hour off the pace, and then I was just riding around in the back hoping for something to happen. Fortunately, it did. It ended up plowing out the entire field. Out of 37 cars, only 6 end up making it through. I was one of those drivers with a bit of netcode assistance, but we don't necessarily need to mention that part. But things can go wrong very quickly, so you just need to constantly be on your toes and wait for something to go wrong eventually.
Yeah, not just the drivers need to be on their toes here tonight. A lot of the spotters, as fast as you get around this track, we're showing about, the fastest time set by Travis Gilbert so far to 51.695. So less than a minute for these guys to make it over 2.5 miles is really scooting the boot here, getting going around. We saw Trevor Earhart there a little bit, getting 3 wide there in the back, kind of taking that high line, seeing if it can happen. But these spotters got to stay on their game up front here. They got to watch out where they go and how to kind of place where to be, because I too as well have some experience here with the Xfinity cars, and it's a lot easier to draft in the Xfinity cars than it would be, let's say, the truck series. The wedge shaped on the front of those trucks actually picks up the back end and will end up turning the guy around in front of you. These are a little more of a flat face, but man, these things get a boatload of speed, and really it's if you got to get caught hanging out there, as we can see, it looks like we got a car up there on the top. I believe that may be Blake Cook up there on the top. I may be wrong. We got a few black and green cars out here. I'm not sure which car I'm looking at there. Up there on the top looks like maybe the 14, I believe. Maybe Bennett is kind of getting hung up there a little bit, but you got to stay in line, and that's really a weird part about this track here, kind of, is staying in line, but you have to figure out how to pass, and really it's just kind of finding your draft partner, and really a friend you can trust, that knows when to push and when to kind of let off and let you all drive around. Boys, they're getting 3-4 wide there as we see Robert Rader having a slide toward the inside. And once again, there looks like Adam Bowden, off the race surface, 4 wide here. So really, he's got to get back up on there. But how is he going to merge back on there? We'll have to see. Boy, because that is a dangerous move there, as we got him here in the camera, kind of.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful when coming back onto a track like that, especially with how that elevation and banking changes. It's very easy for the car to get loose, and then you can suddenly get a massive amount of counter oversteer, and then suddenly you're flying up into the pack. So luckily he was able to keep it down there. He's going to most likely lose the draft now, but at least he still has a car. So yeah, it's disappointing, especially with how he was running earlier in this race, right up near the front with Raider, but at least he's still back there, and there is still a couple of cars that he will be able to pick up in the draft, so it's not all over and done for him yet.
Yeah, but remember, keep in mind, I would think these guys probably coming off 2 would probably dive toward the inside there a little bit and let people go around. I don't have the stones to really be driving on the inside like that at the bottom of these turns. You can get loose in a heartbeat. But man, it's you do hear some of these guys with strategy here, being able to kind of dial it back. We do have a competition caution at 25, so these guys will get a chance to fill up. Maybe or maybe not put some tires on this thing and get that thing back under green after that. But unless there's a caution before, hopefully there's not. But I believe they learned after Pocono, that last pileup, they are awarding each driver with 1 fast repair tonight. So as very fortunate for some guys who just kind of seem to be behind the 8 ball a few times, a few weeks. But this will be your chance to kind of get up here and make things happen. But right now we got Robert Rader and Nick Alves there. Kevin Orlando up in the top 3, really kind of dicing it up there, getting it going. But I like what's going on up here. Robert Rader said he was going to try to take the pole, but Kevin Orlando took that from him by just a few tenths there. Really, these top 3 are going to be the ones to beat.
So far they're able to keep it clean, more so looking to just ride, no real aggressive moves going on just yet. We still have another 71 laps in this race, so a lot of drivers just taking it easy, some feeling that it's a little bit too dicey up where they are dropped back earlier on, so just a lot more conservation going on.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you just gotta think of the speed these guys have, being able to stay out front, keep good, pile driving, like, the way they're going. And just, it's kind of weird because you notice how some of these cars, are just so smooth getting around the track. We see Trevor Earhart working his way up to the 13th position already. We did see him on the high line, has gone ahead and decided to get back in line behind that 4 car of Blake Cook there and try to catch back up to this front pack while the rest are single file behind. But this is kind of the normal here. You will see it go too wide. I would have totally expect probably with 15 to go, this thing to go probably 3 wide. For a solid 3 or 4 laps, and then that's normally when the problems start arising, as people get a little greedy and having to push a little harder than they think they need to. But regardless, there we go with Trevor Earhart going ahead and riding that high line again. Richard really hasn't been favored by anybody else up there toward the top. Maybe he was trying to see if he could get some of those cars behind him to kind of consider going up that way, or is it, do you got any reason why he might be trying that? Oh, as the 18 car looks like he is around. Sirkovich, holy cow, look at it, a pile up now. And this is not stopping. Hit the brakes. Look out. Wow, as that brings out
something about Earhart.
Yeah, that's right, man. As right as we bring out our first 10-4 caution here. Wow, that kind of really... That may be the one. That collected a lot of cars right there. And really, when I was just talking about the fast repairs there, this would be the perfect reason why to have it. And we're going to take a quick look here. Actually, Sirkovich was up here in the lead. And I don't know if maybe Caleb Gilbert just caught him in a bad angle. Right there, as the 40 kind of gets him turned around there. And then after that, boy, it just starts collecting him up from there. Caught him, trying to stay on him the best I can. May have to go ahead and see if we can get that Michelin chopper view here. Yeah, there we go, as we kind of see everybody kind of folding up here. Presley doing the best they can to slide through the 48 car, doing everything, and Johnson can there, trying to stay out of the way. Man. Really, I don't think I think Bowden, even though fell back, actually ended up getting out of that one possibly unscathed. We're going to take a roll back here and see if we can see again what kind of compiled this whole thing. We definitely saw how it happened there. So we're going to take a cockpit view of, it looks like Adam Bowden here. Let's take a look at this. We'll kind of see it kind of gets turned around that dog leg up there. Oh boy. Yeah, smart
Very
checking up here.
disheartening feeling when you just see a lot of smoke and it's like, okay, where do I go? Okay, I
Oof.
see a gap here. Hopefully, there's going to be a gap when I arrive there, and luckily, there was. So
Yeah,
Adam
really.
being able to survive that.
Yeah, that was awesome. And really a smart move there. You kind of saw him, he let off the gas and kind of was coasting his way through there. I mean, some guys I know, you kind of get a little antsy, start pushing your way up toward the front, and then just kind of run out of room. So we're going to actually take a ride along with Trevor Earhart here. He's going to hate this part, but we're going to see where he kind of gets caught here. Oop.
Nowhere to go.
Yeah, and you see he just, I mean, you kind of think the wreck's done, and then you just kind of keep collecting. Oh, got to stop. As he collects that second car there. Right there toward the end. That's kind of a bummer. But yeah, he's definitely going to need big repairs after that one. And so I would have totally assumed these guys coming down pit road and getting this thing squared away, as that'll bring out our first caution here tonight. And it looks like these guys are still in pit road. So we'll have to see how long this damage is going to take. Looks like Loveland got caught up in there. Caleb Gilbert got caught up in there. Presley got caught up in there. Man, just really a bad spot for a lot of these drivers here. Getting caught up so early in the race.
Yeah, fortunately, those who got a lot of damage are going to be able to use that fast repair if absolutely necessary. But if you use it now, then you won't have it later on. So that's something Loveland is going to be thinking about, and probably the reason why he's deciding to just take some time, drop to the back, and just repair as much damage as he can under caution. So unfortunate. Luckily, there is that fast repair this week.
Yeah, and I'm glad they decided to do that this week for this exact reason. I mean, you just saw that massive pile up there, and I'm sure somebody's probably going to have their sights on that 40 car there, the 40 and the 18. I don't know if the 18 really did anything wrong there. I think Sirkovich did what he kind of had going. Man, the only thing I could think of is lock the brakes down and just try to hold on at that point. He kind of ricocheted off the wall there. I know we saw him try to fight it back, but really kind of a blast there. He kind of taking a heck of a ride trying to figure out how to stay where he needed to be as it moved around there on him. But
yeah, I watched it multiple times and got multiple camera angles. I didn't really see anything that really would have suggested it to snap sideways like that.
Yeah, it's just it's a bummer, but man, it happens, man. I mean, that's the whole thing, and it just seems to be one. I mean, fortunately, we have a fast repair, so we do get to try this again. I mean, some of these guys, they do and they don't. I mean, imagine how many cars that would have taken out, and these guys are still sitting in pit road. We'd have a lot of damaged cars and probably 2 or 3 packs out here, and probably just maybe the top 12 cars that had survived at that point. But a lot of these guys are going to be able to come back out. They will still have that competition caution, I believe, at 25 there, kind of. So I mean, other than repair, would you take any fuel, or would you try to not put any fuel in and see if you can remain fast with not carrying around that much weight?
Well, with how the fuel weight affects the cars on Talladega and Daytona, I find that it doesn't really matter too much, so you might want to stay out for track position, but these cars really, with how this league is run, they only are going to be able to complete 28 to 32 laps is the estimate on how many laps you can run under green, so you will be able to make it to the green, white, checkered, or the competition caution, and if there's another caution, so some drivers may want to just stay out to get track position, but we saw that it happened from first and second, and suddenly there's like 15 cars involved in the wreck, so it doesn't really matter where you are because it can go wrong, and if you are in the wrong position, you might get involved, such as Earhart did, but I'd personally want to stay back and just take the fuel and just try to set up my end of race position.
Yeah, and we'll kind of give a quick little shout out to Chapman Environmental Services, proudly offering a broad spectrum regulatory compliance, permitting, field sampling, services, and more. Visit ChapmanES.com as we hit that Geico restart zone right here. Man, it really got to get this thing back under green, as we're going to give another shout out to another fine sponsor they have here at the Racing Revolution League of Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Man, you got to, and I'll tell you what, Kynan, with a wreck like that, that butt kicker would have been going crazy, hammering the heck out of your rig and everything, letting you know all about what was going on in that wreck.
Yeah, I've been actually looking at getting a butt kicker, so if I'm looking at get one, why not you?
Yeah, as we're taking a quick look here, back at Robert Rader, got back there in the 8th position, riding that inside line. We did have a little conversation with him earlier in the race that possibly if he didn't get the pole or could stay up there really in that top 4, that he'd probably kind of wheel back the same way Adam Bowden did and hang in the back, try to, avoid most of the accidents, things like that, and kind of just make it to the end. I mean, you still got so many laps, so many miles to go. You just got to kind of meter himself, but really doing a great job up here in the 7th. Not really, unless he ducks down below that yellow line, decides to kind of bow out and hang back there with Kevin Orlando, one of his buddies back there. Those guys might be able to keep this thing collected and back up front. But we see Sirkovich there, up there on that top line, back in that 18 car, starting to get a little wobbly with that car behind him. So got to be careful. We don't want to wobble too much, because we may get a redo of what we had before. About the little bumper slide there, kind of.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how it really happened, but luckily he was able to use his fast repair and is back in it, so just need to take it easy, especially when you're on the high line. You don't really have too many places to go, and you can ricochet back down into the field, so 54 getting a really good run, catching up to the 18, but checking up just to keep it easy.
And quick little shout out there to Sean Lattin up there, a frequent viewer here at 10-4 Broadcasting, saying look out for the 53 of Robert Rader. I know you're a friend of him, and I know that's who you've got to be rooting on here. But man, he's doing a great job, and he's staying up in the front pack here. Right now, Nick Alves has gone ahead, and he's working his way up in the 3rd position. He had the lead there for a second, but it looked like that inside line is once again retaking the lead. Travis Gilbert there, with, I believe, Ray Lane behind him. And that 44 machine, yes it is. That is Ray Lane. So we saw him get tangled up pretty bad there at Pocono and kind of ended his night way early. And he's looking to turn that around here at Talladega. So, Talladega really brings out a lot of drivers here. Just because it kind of suits everybody. Everybody has a chance, whether you're in 1st or you're all the way back there, starting in the 23rd position. You have a chance to win. All you just got to do is play your cards right, get draft buddies, make good moves, and educated decisions of where to go, and you can get up front and win this thing. So, you can't count anybody out at this point, but right now Nick Alves has now moved his way, figured out how to get to that inside line, is now leading. But boy, Travis Gilbert is giving one heck of a push there from behind.
You got to be careful when they're moving up and down in that middle lane. All it will take is the 12 just to poke his nose in a little bit, and the 14 were to come down and chop him, and suddenly he's going around in front of the field again.
Man, look how close these guys are getting here. As we got Robert Rader there. I mean, back in that 53 car, just it just hammed, jammed, and slammed. I mean, they're just having a heck of a time. I mean, look how close these cars are getting. As we're going to take a little ride along here with Justice Murphy here of the 12 machine. Let's take a look and see how close these guys are getting. Staying pretty solid there, Kynan. I don't see him wobbling around too much. As you kind of notice that throttle control there, Kynan, you do hear him let off, kind of go ahead and stay in the aerodynamic bubble, still able to push that 14 car, but stay off his bumper. But right on his rear bumper, I mean, really, you look at Robert Rader there, getting super close, hanging out there right on the back bumper. So it's a safe distance. It keeps everyone fast. If you want to get faster, you're going to start bumping. But if you notice the grill right there, right there at the bottom right, that is really the only airflow these cars have through that radiator. So you do have a chance of overheating pretty quick, getting down the Alabama mile here.
Yeah, you will see drivers occasionally just move out of line and just get a bit of clean air just to try cool the engine. The 12 looking to maybe carry some of that momentum to try go for the high line lead, but just running out of space. A bit of netcode has just started to a bit more bumping, but they all keep it together.
Holy cow, yeah, we just moved back up to Justice Murphy there. We were looking at Scott Negus kind of dropping off the line there, taking the way inside line. But yeah, pop back up here to Justice Murphy, and boy, he took a quick bite out of that right front there. As we're going to see if we can get our producer to look at that right front suspension, see if he has sustained. Yes, he has. He has sustained a good bit of damage there on the right front of that car. Justice Murphy's definitely going to have to fix that car to get around this track at any sort of speed here for the remainder of the race. Fortunately, he only has 5 laps to go before the competition caution, and he will be able to come in and get this thing straightened back out, and hopefully pit crew can hammer out that right front, get that fender off that tire before something bad happens there, kind of.
Yeah, luckily it just seems to be a bit more aerodynamic damage instead of engine damage, so it's not going to be as bad. It's probably around 40 to 50 seconds of optional damage, so it shouldn't hinder him too badly in the draft as the Raider turns to 24 in front of the field.
Oh, so Nick Alves got turned around. Oh, watch out. Boy, Peyton Presley saw that one happening. Holy cow. As we are going to try to wind up that 10-4 replay again as we are coming out for our second caution. We may have to bring in another driver here and see if we are going to call that the competition caution here. Let's go ahead and get to that Michelin chopper view here and see what happened. Oh, boy. Yeah, it looked like Robert Rader got a lot of speed there. A lot of speed and kind of didn't check up a little bit, and then one or two of those guys kind of got kind of caught up there and ended up spinning around, unfortunately.
It almost seems like there was a little bit of Neko which initially upsetted Owls, but then he had to then check up to save his car, which then Robert Rader at that distance didn't have enough time to be able to check up and end up turning him into the wall. Luckily, didn't collect any cars, so yeah, it's disappointing for the 24, but has that fast repair and didn't cause any more collateral damage.
Boy, but that's what you hate to see is really using that fast repair so early in this race. I mean, we just, I believe we just broke the quarter mark here, and yeah, you're having to kind of pile this up and really figure out what to do. Robert Rader did pit on lap 11, though, so something to keep in mind. It looks like these guys are going ahead and coming down pit road. Let's see if we got any missing links here. Now, I believe everybody's coming in for this one. There's nobody a lap down, so I don't see any sense in really rotating your way up to the front unless you absolutely have to, or if you want to. Looks like Kevin Orlando still working his way down pit road. And just, man, really a kind of a bummer there. Now, I'm curious to see how many tires he takes here to see if he can make up some ground here. All right, definitely right sides. As we saw him kind of rolling back here in the late, only right sides there. So good thing to keep in mind there, kind of. As we see Kevin Orlando taking only right sides and coming out of pit road in the 11th position. So a big gain there from where he was before.
For this sort of racing, I'd kind of want to take 4 tires just to cycle my way back to the back of the pack just this early on. We've seen 2 wrecks now happen entering the tri-oval in the top lane, and it was the first and second car in that top lane. So right now, I'm seeing that and being like, okay, the top and the front is not safe right now. I want to be in the back where I have control. Don't need to worry about cars running into my rear end and then pushing me into a wreck if they don't realize there's a wreck. So I'd want to take 4, maybe wait around in the pits, maybe have something to eat, drink, just have a bit of a mental refresh and then come out and then have that nice cleaner air in the back where I have more control of what the situation is.
Yes, and we are going to quick pull up that vertical ticker here. Looks like Robert Rader back in the lead. Blake Cook in second. Ray Lane in third. Jacob Sirkovich fourth. Brandon Richardson there in the 5th position. Looks we got David Stanfield has worked his way up to the 6th position. Trevor Earhart in the 7th. Caleb Gilbert 8th. Michael Bennett has actually worked his way to the 8th position. Let's see. I thought he was 9th. I may be wrong. Now that they're starting to shuffle up there a little bit. And it looks like Kevin Orlando and Logan Romney really here in the 9th, 10th position. Parker Johnson there in the 11th. So really these guys are starting to put a quick move on here and see how long these guys can stay up front. Interesting to see that Ray Lane is able to stay up front as well. I believe Nick Alves. Well, take a look at him. I was counting him almost as a lap down, but boy, he's got to hurry up if he wants to get back out there. And I believe Justice Murphy. Yep, got to hurry up and get out of there as well, as these are the guys in the 22nd and 23rd position back here in the back. So I could probably agree with you with your statement before of going ahead and taking 4 at this point. It is a competition caution. You know, to take the 4 now, I would probably, during the green flag stop up here, probably then only take rights from what you were saying. So, you know, that's probably where I would definitely go with that. As we got a few more guys look like they're coming off pit. Looks like James Loveland, Trevor Earhart. These guys are going ahead and pitting a little bit later.
Just a quick update on the 24 of Nick Alves. He hasn't decided to take a fast repair and is back into the pits just to try and get a little bit more of his damage service. So he's going to have to play the long game just to get all that damage fixed, but at least he'll have his fast repair if he needs it.
Yeah, the amount of damage he has, as we got him in the screen here, is he probably came in, didn't think it was that bad, and realized it was worse than he thought. So, smart idea to go ahead, pull it back in the pit, get that fast repair, but he has got to hurry and get his way back around as these guys are lined up, getting ready to go into turn 3 here. You know, really, Robert Rader's up here in the front, but we'll have to keep an eye out for him. I know he wants to be in the lead, but I know he's a clean racer. It's just here at Pocono with Kevin Orlando, and here tonight, you know, with Nick Alves and the 24 machine. So he's got to be careful. You know, it's no good way to get on the bounty board. You know, if you know, and beat Robert Rader by turning him around, if he's turning you around. So hopefully these guys are all in good spirits here tonight, and they are going to go ahead and let you know, kind of let that one go. But you know, I got your number when I get back around. But Robert Rader, Ray Lane up here in the front lane. So we're gonna have to see how this goes up in the front row. So kind of really that Geico restart zone is just a nail biter right when you get to it. I mean, it's so far away, and you got to wait so long with you know, the race pace car off. As here we go, they are getting ready to hit it. So Robert Rader, there he goes in, takes that shot when he wants to, and really it's not a good idea to get a huge jump on the restarts here, as everyone else can really wind up that draft and start pushing.
Yeah, for sure. If the 44 of Ray Lane wanted to stay with the 29, he would have likely been able to just keep the 29 on his bumper and be able to use that draft, but the 44, in saying that, was able to get Raiders draft and is now getting a bit of a slingshot on the back straight. The 29 is going to be able to carry a lot more momentum, and with being pushed behind, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with into turn 3.
Yeah, got to be definitely careful. That outside line's looking a little, kind of making a few switch-ups there. As I believe the 54 car, I believe of Romney back there, kind of making a little move there. Gotta be careful, man. You don't think about it, and you just kind of see them. You know, these guys kind of racing around in circles, but it's just so fast, and you just can't make a mistake. And all it takes is one little hiccup, as we saw there, Robert Rader there earlier. Just a little hiccup, one miscalculation. Even with Caleb Gilbert kind of pushing on the back end of the car there earlier with Cirkovich. I mean, it's just one little mistake, and you just see how big it happens. So, we gotta be looking, man. A lot of the fast repairs have been used up here by some of these guys here in the back. You've got to be thinking, you know, if another one happens, this may be the end of some of their nights here tonight, and they've got to be careful.
The 27 is being very aggressive on the pushing on the 29 right now, so he's got to be careful not to turn him, but if he does turn, then the drivers behind have to be very careful not to get involved in the wreck, because if they do, they don't have that fast repair, then it may be done, depending on how badly they get involved. Yeah,
Brandon Richardson, he's very, he's used to that draft. Boys, you see that slide move there. Good move by Kevin Orlando, going ahead and checking up, letting off the gas there a little bit and trying to not slide across that rear bumper. It's an easy way to get somebody turned around. As these guys are diving back into turn one, man, side by side still making a run for this one. Really, it's starting to get some tight racing up front here. Wow. Man, I just don't know about moves like that. I believe that is the 54 machine. I've looked like Romney there. He's got to be careful making moves like that. I mean, you know that the 16 of Likens there is got to be getting sick. Albert Likens in the 16 machine, kind of blinking there a little bit, but really that's not what you want to do. Is be jerking your car around and then him blink. I mean, it's just going to cause another pileup. So he's got to be careful. I understand he wants a better lane choice, but man, you just in a matter of a half a second, somebody can hit that aerodynamic bubble there, Kynan, and really start reeling somebody in. You try to make a move like that, you've come across the nose of that car, and around you go.
Something else that people don't really talk about with super speedway racing, especially with cars that suck up as quickly as the Xfinity. Say you move up to make a defensive block or just to cover a line, then the cars behind are coming with a lot more momentum than the car in front of them, and then they give them a bump right as you come up and then cover that line. But then normally what would cause a checkup, the cars behind don't have enough time to check up, so then they get into the car, which is then starting to push you, and then suddenly you've been turned.
Yeah, we just take a real quick look here. Looks like Kevin Orlando's kind of giving up on that outside line, left Brandon Richardson out there. And along with that, it looks like, I believe that's Daryl Johnson back there in the 93 machine. Ooh, careful on that outside line. So you notice how without all that draft, Richardson there in the 29 machine is actually starting to feel a lot of pain here. You notice him marching back. He's now in the 8th position and still going backwards. Yep. Oh, man, of that 54. Right now, his spotter's doing a great job because, like I said, those are those moves that, you don't want to see, but you can make them if you need to. Going ahead and blocking that outside lane again by that 54. Really early in the race to be kind of blocking like that there, kind of.
Yeah, it's almost like he's getting more of a run than he's expecting, so he's pulling it up high just to try cancel his line or his run out. But in doing that, then you may cause a checkup, and then if the cars behind you are getting a run on the inside, then they may fill the gap, and if you don't react in time, then you can get turned. But if it's on the low line, you're most likely just going to be spun onto the apron. So it's a very risky move, especially this early on, and with how the outside lane isn't really too much developed. I mean, I say that as there is starting to get a couple of cars, but now I'd want to be on the low line. It's the safest place. If a wreck happens, you can dive it right down as far as you want to go, but if you're on the high line and something happens, you're stuck there basically.
Yeah, it's just starting to be kind of a pile, a tangle up really whether to take that outside line or not. As we got Chris up there in the chat, got any in-car views? Of course we do. And if you just tuned in, man, we've been taking in-car views all race long as these guys are trying their best to stay in front and around. But right now, we'll go and give that to you. I'll show you how close Robert Rader really gets to here up Ray Lane. Up to the front, and let's see if he goes ahead and decides to touch him here on that backstretch. We're going to take a ride with Robert Rader, the 53 Chapman Environmental Services car.
I thought it was Ray Lene.
No Ray Lene for you, sir. And that is Timothy Hammond, our fine owner of 10-4 Broadcasting, joining us here in the Racing Revolution League. Man, really, you should see this. We've had a couple pileups so far, but it looks like Kevin Orlando's going ahead and taking a little sneak here on the outside of Robert Rader. Boy, see that little bump right there. I know if we kind of moved our 10-4 nose view, all we'd be seeing is his gearbox. But it looks like that outside lane is working quite well for Kevin Orlando as he goes ahead and he has now assumed the lead. Now, I don't think that Kevin Orlando really will bail out on the 54 car, who's been doing a great job pushing him up front, but he has been really aggressive on these turns, and with his lane switching, I'd be a little concerned about him turning me around here, kind of.
Yeah, you want to be really careful with who you decide to go with. Yes, it may be a good idea just to stick with the person who has helped push you to the front. I know I personally want to, just so then if they're still with me towards the end, I know that I can trust them a little bit more. So it's also a good opportunity to see how he pushes, but as long as I don't get turned, I'm happy with it. So Orlando is going to be having to think about that, whilst also thinking if it may be best to just pull it down onto the inside lane and just take over there. So there's a lot going through a driver's mind in this moment, and all while going just a casual 186 miles per hour.
Casual. 186 miles an hour, and I believe that was the second speed actually set for Mark Martin here at this track. Yeah, I believe he set a lap speed of 188 in his sprint car. So really, just a little info to throw out there, you know, for his racing here at Talladega, and some of his many accomplishments in the Valvoline and the Viagra car, and the other ones he ended up driving through the 20-some-odd years he ended up getting. But right now we got Kevin Orlando, Ray Lane, Logan Romney, and Robert Rader up here in the top 4, with Darrell Johnson close behind in the 93. So your top 5 really keeping it close-knit. I mean, all within a tenth of each other. You know, really, if you want to combine these 5, they're in 2/10, you know, combined from front to the 5th position. So not a lot of room for error. Boy, is that 54 is doing a heck of a lot of pushing there, as we can see him right there. We're going to give you another one of those in-car views right here. We are passenger this time. And take a look at him kind of fighting that wheel, getting through these turns here. Oh, looks like a little something happened there.
Get up there, and he's able to keep it together.
As we were at in-car view there, kind of, did you see exactly what happened?
No, but you can get a replay.
Yeah, that 54 is way underpowered. Something happened there.
He's entering the pits right now.
Okay,
Maybe
I'm actually going to roll that back, and let's see exactly what happened, as we're going to try to get the outside and see what in the world happened there. Did he just get a push that he didn't expect? As we did have some smoke there from him as well.
Yep, engine blowout.
An engine blowout. Let's take a quick little replay here. Let's look at that 54 car here of Romney. Boom. Yep, right there.
Earlier you said how riding up underneath someone's bumper will overheat the engine. We saw the 54 being really aggressive with Orlando, so maybe he was being too aggressive, and that let the engine temperatures just raise too high, and then the engine couldn't handle anymore and then expired.
Wow, yeah, and that's really going to do it for him tonight, unless he's able to get that fast repair. But we'll keep an eye on him, get back to the live action racing. Up front here, we got Kevin Orlando still up front with Robert Rader behind him. These two saw each other at Pocono, I believe, only once, and that was in an unfortunate event. Ray Lane third. Tay McDonald ended up in really far back there at Pocono as well, up here in the 4th position. Michael Bennett 5th. So really, just slam jam, really trying to get these things going. I think that's going to be my new call sign for tonight. Slam jam. That sounds pretty cool. As we're going to see Sirkovich. Let's see where he's at, up in the 7th position. That red, white, and blue car in that outside lane. Trying to see if he can work with the 2 car of Tay McDonald on the outside line. But, you know, Nick Alves, I don't know. You normally you try to get him in 3s, maybe 4-pack up there in the top line. But, boy, these guys are wobbling around real bad. I just don't know if you know, Sirkovich doesn't like how the draft is feeling, or if his car's just getting real loose on him there, kind of. I don't know. He's kind of weaving around. That's kind of suicide for you. Try getting pushed around like that.
From my experience, the car does not like the side draft, especially in the mid corner. It can get very loose. It can also get very tight, all in the matter of milliseconds. So I saw it with the 83 as he's just pulled in and decided to run on the bottom, but being in that middle lane, you've got to be really careful. The aero will pull you into the low line, but then it can also throw you up into the high line, so there's so much going on, and the drivers don't really have a chance to brake.
Wow. Yeah, really, this is starting to become a heck of a job here, as we're starting to see these cars wobbling around a lot more than we're used to. And you would kind of think, you know, like you're saying, if they don't like the draft and everything else, kind of pulling out of the draft and making an aggressive move. We just saw Sirkovich drop down to the lower line. He's tired of moving back there. He's now in the 12th position. Try to get behind Adam Bowden there in the pink vehicle there of the 83 machine. So he's going to have to work his way back up front here. As these guys, but that's kind of what you see. You do see the guys up here in the top 5, and then they'll rotate back to the 15th position. Then 4 or 5 laps later, to back up in the top 5. So really, kind of a crappy way to get around the track. You know, it's not really one person up front all the time unless you have teammates. And right now, I believe Robert Rader and Kevin Orlando really feeling the best of friends right now. I think they probably put everything aside from Pocono. Is that 341? Holy cow. Of Travis Gilbert there really rocking that outside lane. Look at that. As we're going to see if that kind of cuts out on him at any point in time here. As it looks like he's going to get behind, I believe, Stanfield there. David Stanfield. Got to be careful. Ooh. Especially stopping somebody on a run like that.
Stanfield got a bump entering turn 1 and it got him really loose and he decided to bail, but 341 was just carrying that speed and probably didn't expect him to be wanting to cycle to the back. I say that as the 83 is trying to now go to the front, so moves are starting to be made, but you got to be careful. If you don't find the gap and then you suddenly don't have any friends, you're just going to slowly drop back and it's a hopeless feeling. Just seeing these cars slowly go by and it's like, where's the gap? Can I find a gap? But 83 just needs to either find a gap or get the 29 and the 31 to his rear bumper.
Yeah, we're kind of taking a look here at Nick Alves in that 24 machine. I'm looking to see, you know, really if he's able to kind of work his way up and find a couple of his teammates, you know, maybe, because as Kevin Orlando, one of his teammates, is leading up front here with the 4-Star Industries team, you know, if he can kind of get his way up there, and I just don't think he has anybody around him except Sirkovich, I believe, in front of him. I may be wrong. Anyway, but man, he's really kind of he's kind of got to find some friends for Nick Alves to really kind of get back into the top 10 and push up front. But it just something about that high line there, kind of is. These guys seem to, if you stay to the high line and you work the high line, it'll work. You know, it'll work for you. But really, you're just seeing a lot of commitment issues out of some of these guys with that high line. You know, not as high as, you know, Travis Gilbert here, up at way high, but you know, it is an option. But taking really that middle line, using a little bit of that door draft from the side, you know, for you to kind of give a little wobble there on the second and third line toward the top and really make it work. But it's just these guys just have a kind of a no commit issue, you know, staying up top as that inside line is doing a really a bang up job getting pulled away here. As you know, Kevin Orlando, Robert Rader, and Ray Lane still up there in the top 3 pushing along.
Yeah, the high line, if they want to make it work and start to make some in-grounds on the leaders, they're going to need to get some sort of formality going. Right now, it's very messed up. No one can really keep it together, and I'd say the aero and with how the tires will be starting to slightly wear. Tire wear I haven't found is a big issue, but just all these little factors, you want to have a steady car, and if you don't, it just makes it really uncomfortable and hard to really commit. So they just need to find some sort of formality for it to really work, and then if they can't even clear and then someone decides to dive in, that loss of a car can suddenly just completely screw over the entire high line.
And a quick little update on the 54 car, I believe, of Logan Romney in the 54. He is out. That engine explosion was the final for him, so he will end up in the 23rd position here tonight. Really kind of a bummer showing. He had a good car, and then just that overheat kind of did it in for him. So we will see him next week at Kansas. There will be 120 laps there. But tonight, right now, where I'm concentrated on Talladega, because there's so much speed, so much racing, and we still got over 20 drivers out here really pushing to see where they can get. But kind of, we did reach the halfway point of this race. These cars are 20 laps into their last pit stop. You did say the pit stop was about 28 to 32, I believe, so we should be seeing some green flag stops here pretty soon. I'm assuming probably in the next 5 to 10.
Yeah, but a driver that doesn't really look like that they are planning to pit is the 83. Sticking to that high line with the help of Gilbert, just being able to finally start to make some in-grounds, but if they start to run low on fuel, they got to find a way to then get to that low line. So right now you need to be starting to think about how am I going to get to the low line for when I need to pit? Because if the low line doesn't decide to pit when you do, you're suddenly trapped out there and then you're suddenly going to run out of fuel.
Yeah, really interesting to see how, I would have figured that Kevin Orlando and Robert Rader would have switched positions if they're teammates by now. With these two guys, Kevin Orlando, yes, he does have the fresh air out front. He is getting good pushing by Robert Rader. What he doesn't know, what he doesn't have is the draft. Is really Robert Rader's able to let up off the gas here and conserve some fuel riding behind him the way he is. I don't know if Kevin Orlando may run out of fuel earlier, but another thing to keep in mind here, Kynan, is really pitting off pace. Oh boy, looks like Bowden kind of comes down there and kind of bumps Kevin Orlando there a little bit. Got a little loose, but he's able to retain. But like I was saying, if the top 10 cars pit, really, you are now going to be on the back foot if your pit stop doesn't go just as fast to get back out there the next round as well. Really not a whole lot of fall off here by some of these drivers. Let's just give a quick throw out. Let's look at Ray Lane. His fastest time was a 50.79, and his last time was a 51.77. So really no fall, not a whole lot of fall off, about a second, but not much. But that second can add up, especially in the draft here, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say that second of pace difference, he may have just been riding a couple car lengths back and then was able to get that massive suck up that these Xfinity cars have on super speedway. So that gives you over 5 miles per hour difference, which then, as you're carrying it around this massive track, it does add up. So that can be a massive contributor to that second pace difference. Maybe he was also able just to keep it a lot more steady and keep it down low. A lot of factors, so I wouldn't necessarily say tire wear is too big of a factor just yet.
Yeah, but we're also starting to see these leaders catching up to Justice Murphy, and I believe that is Brad Smith. So they're starting to catch up to them, and I mean in a hurry. They are ticking off tenths every second or so here. So really, these guys are getting ready to start running into lap traffic. Because I'm going to see if we can get a camera view of how close this is getting here pretty soon, as these leaders are catching up. So right there. So you kind of see, boy, you just see that pile coming in their rearview mirror. And really, the only thing these two can do is exactly what they're doing, is kind of nose, back to front here, really getting around and gonna have to keep pushing. They did pit on the exact same lap as the guys before, but boy, it's just as we see them closing in. So running out of time here as we're coming up to that pit window.
Right now, it seems like the 83 is just trying to find a way to get to the low line, looking like he wants to pit soon. The 18 was just had a bit more of an overlap, so he wasn't able to quite get down in time. He should be able to get down into the in between the 18 and the 24 now, but he has to be more dedicated to that. Unless the 24 is going to fill it, he is going to get down, but the lap cars are going to just keep it high. The leaders are going to all go single file, so shouldn't cause any issues. We won't have a Kevin LePage issue just yet, hopefully.
Yeah, but now might be a good time, thinking about it, somebody like Justice Murphy to stay. He may be dialing it back. I don't see really a whole lot of damage out of him. We knew he clipped the wall in the right front there, but really to dive in and try to get some of that draft to get up to speed. But man, he's just having a hard time getting on entry on these fast cars out here.
Looking at how everyone's starting to now single file out, makes you wonder who's going to be pitting in these next couple laps. The 341 may be trying to gain a couple more positions with staying up high, but if he has no help, he is just going to start falling back as soon as he loses that extra draft help.
Yeah, and that's going to be ugly. But when these guys start diving into pit road here, if they're going to be sliding into one another, I know a lot of these, when you get going around this track here, the tires start heating up, melting real bad. Sure, the brakes haven't been hardly used most of the time. This track is mostly throttle control. But, you're going to have to use them eventually, and coming from 180 down to 60 miles an hour for pit road speed, that is just going to be an ugly situation. Trying to slow down to a third of your speed to get into pit road here is just going to be a heck of a task, as we see a couple of guys kind of peeking, thinking about it, but not just yet. as Michael Bennett is going to go ahead and stay in line. Oh, as it looks like Sirkovich is tangled up in another fold
That's
up
gonna
here.
be a caution.
And we're going to see if that brings out another caution. Boy, and somebody's getting
No.
clipped there on
Oh,
the
there it
infield.
is. Bit of a delayed caution, but
Looks like Nick Alves
It-
may have gotten roasted there.
delayed.
Yeah, we see some engine damage and a lot of rear end damage on Nick Alves there, and that may or may not do it for his night tonight. Seeing that he does have engine damage, and we're going to try to see what exactly happened there. If the 341 or anybody like that got tangled up, we did see him make contact with that 18 car, and we're going to kind of take a quick peek here. Let's see if I can get that Michelin chopper to wake the hell up. Here we go. All right. As we're going to take a little look here at the 18. And it really seems to be that dog legs doing some weird stuff. Sarkovich gets a little loose. Clips that 341 there.
Looked like the 18 may have hit that bump, which is in the start of the tri-oval dogleg, which then just sent him up the track and then just ever so slightly caught the 341, and then suddenly everything goes on.
And really,
I'm
341.
also hearing reports right as it started happening, the Travis G. Gilbert's screen actually went black, so luckily he did the right thing in just keeping the car locked down, but unfortunately it did collect a couple other drivers.
Yeah, really a driver you didn't want to see as well. Travis Earhart there, he ate it as well. Unfortunately, when the screen went black on him, I kind of wish he had stayed turning right and kind of eating that wall there a little bit, but we do not know if and when that screen went black on him, as we're going to try to get another replay here wound up of that 341 machine. Kind of getting into the 18 here. And really, you're going to kind of see Nick Alves, man, just unexpected. Then the drag back down, I believe Trevor Earhart's got nowhere, bang. And then that's probably going to do it for some of these guys.
It's in that moment when you see a car starting to slide down the track, it's best to just check up, even if it's not a caution. They end up getting a lot of extra damage that they didn't need just because of not checking up. So you can see the moment on which the 341 sees that his screen is black and it's just tire smoke.
Yeah, it looks like, Nick Alves has been up. Looks like the 13's been up. And a lot of guys down pit road. And really, this is going to be a good thing for some of these drivers right here, as we're going to pop back live, take a little look here. See how Trevor Earhart, if he's able to kind of collect this thing, get this thing back together. Looks like pit crew's already got the hood off. And really, this is kind of a bummer for him. I believe Nick Alves as well. He got banged up pretty bad, and I saw he had massive engine damage there. Boy, that's just, that's not going to work out for him too well. I believe, depending on where the lineup was, if Justice Murphy, excuse me, wow. Having a heck of a time here tonight, Kynan. Justice Murphy in that 12 machine, if he is able to get the lucky dog position and get back up on the lead lap, which would be wonderful for him if he can get up there in that 12 Titleist machine. If we can get this thing going here, right now it's showing him in the 17th position on the lead lap, with Scott Negus behind him and Travis Gilbert behind him as well. Really, I'm curious to see if Gilbert, if the screen went black, if he is going to remain racing here tonight in the 341 machine. Looks like Nick Alves may be getting another terrible run here. I mean, just kind of a bummer. I know Trevor Earhart, had a great week last week. Nick Alves, I was kind of hoping would be able to turn it around, but yeah, I just don't know with the amount of damage on that race car if he's going to be able to kind of get this thing squared away.
Something that might add a wrench into this already interesting race is if you save, you will make it on fuel. So this might be the final green flag or pit stop that we may need to see throughout the entire race. That's going to change strategy up completely. If we get another caution, you don't need a fuel save anymore. So you may have seen some drivers take a little bit of extra or take away some of the fuel that they would have normally put in if it were to be a green flag pit stop. So some drivers may have wanted just to get a couple extra attempts with taking an extra or not taking an extra gallon of fuel. that may be a reason why Ray Lane was able to jump Orlando and Raider for the lead of this race.
Man, really, some of these drivers, man, I just hope they're able to kind of get this thing turned around, kind of get back out there. You know, you did say possibly 30 laps and just barely make it. I'm thinking Loveland and drivers like that, they may be going ahead and taking one extra lap and possibly squeezing in an extra, 4/10 of fuel. It may work out toward the end, and we've seen Jeff Gordon finish a lot of races, on fumes and have not enough to even get down victory lane, and his team push him through. But last thing you want to do is run out of fuel at a place like here at Talladega, where if you run out in turn 2, you still got another mile and a half to get back to the front, and that's in a game of numbers, strategy, draft, and engine power, speed. I mean, it's just there's so many variables at this point here, and just getting up front, just maybe that pitting one lap later may save them the race later on.
Yeah, and if you're, say, the leader and decide to just take a couple extra milliliters less than what you normally would have, just tried to underfuel the car, bank on another couple cautions. If there isn't those cautions and you're still in the lead on the final lap, but then you run out coming through the trival and then your car's starting to sputter and then other cars all around you just start to fan out, and then it's like, well, I tried, but you just need to think about what amount of fuel you have left in your tank. I lost a Dover race in Xfinity because I didn't save those extra couple laps of fuel. It's very easy to do, especially when you're thinking about all these other things on what's going on the track. So strategy is still a bit of a play with how much fuel did you take, but if you were a driver towards the back, would have been better off just taking a full tank as the pace car peels off into pit lane.
Yes, Ray Lane is going to be the one to get our restart back underway as we aim for that Geico restart zone. Little shout out once again to Butt Kicker Field, which you've been missing. Oh man, just being able to feel the extra parts of the track, the bumps, everything else. They go ahead and they make great audio systems. Check out Butt Kicker. And another shout out to Chapman Environmental Services. Check them out at chapmanes.com as Ray Lane goes and makes that jump out front. So he's able to go ahead, get a little pull away here, and the front pack is already separated off the back there. Really a heck of a separation already there toward the back.
40 giving Orlando a nice little push through the middle of the turn, going to try carry that extra momentum on the back straight. Orlando is going to then just put the front of the car out and is going to be clear, but he's going to stay with the 40. But you've also, when you've got a car on your rear bumper like that, if you were to come down and they're still pushing you, it can just turn you into the field. So Orlando was most likely thinking that subconsciously even, so just staying with the 40 and trusting him.
Yeah, we got to be careful because remember the 40 and Sirkovich and that 18 right at this point right here is where they ended up getting each other turned around. So hopefully we don't see much more of that, but you do see how close Caleb Gilbert is getting in that 40 machine of that Chevy Camaro, getting up there in the front. So really, but Robert Rader taking Ray Lane and putting him under his wing and giving him another great push. But really interesting to see how much Robert Rader's been pushing most of this race. Keeping the cars out front where he wants them. Look at that. There's nowhere to go. Couldn't even slide a piece of paper between that. Really, I'm curious to see how he's not overheating so far, and I think that's why even during the turns, you do see him fade off a little bit, and then back on this straightaway, they go ahead and get right that nose back on that rear bumper and start pushing again. That way you're not too wide. I've actually found out, that if I ended up in that back pack, trying to get, stay relevant and stay up front, that way I didn't get stranded. Running too wide, actually we were faster. We actually used the door draft and the draft front to back off each other to pick up the pace, and we actually picked up about half a second lap.
That makes sense with how these things do suck up in the draft. You have seen single cars on the high line being able to stick with cars but not be able to necessarily be faster than the low line with multiple cars pushing, but it's just having that air flow over the car, which then is keeping it within a steady window. So it does make sense, but further back, you're also going to have all that extra hot turbulent air going over all these other cars. So that may be a factor that can also be taken into consideration.
Yeah, really, this is a heck of a job here. I'd like to see Blake Cook up there. A quick little shout out for him and that Ford machine. Down toward the bottom, I believe he's got David Stanfield behind him. Those two guys are try to keep their distance away right now. I'd like to see those two guys get working and getting their cars up toward the front. But really, we're gonna kind of take a ride along here with Blake Cook. Go ahead and crank up the speakers, and we're gonna let you listen to the sounds of what this car can do around the track.
Right as things are going on, the 341 making quite a charge on the high line, trying to make some sort of run. I've been watching back a little bit. 83 seems to just be taking it easy, just watching what's going on. But as things stand, seems like most drivers are just wanting to just ride for now. Gilbert, having had that run and making it 3 wide through half the pack, has then just dialed it back, not having that help, so just deciding to pull it in and just keep his car together. No reason to really risk having any form of netcode, and start to just look at what further up in the pack that maybe you can't see when you're tucked up underneath the driver in front of you. So that's another thing he may just be doing, just poking his nose out just so then he can see what is happening right in front, so he can see how far the gaps are and start to see who or where a risk may be of a wreck.
Yeah, really, Travis Gilbert there in the 341 machine, definitely working his way. Nice to see him on the outside line, you know, like you were saying, tucking back in. But it looks like Adam Bowden is thinking otherwise, doesn't want to let him down as he goes ahead and reels back into the bottom there, right back to the front. But man, it really, you're kind of seeing this top, 14 cars really kind of smashing it up, trying to take advantage of this thing. But you got to start thinking here, Kynan. We got, coming up here, once we hit the line, 21 laps to go. So we're going to start running out of time here for some of these drivers. When is a good time to start moving?
I'd say around 5 to go. That's when the real aggressive pushes are going to start happening. But you got to be careful when you're starting to also apply aggressive pushes, because if something does happen and there's a checkup, then you have absolute no time to react. At least now where there's a bit of a gap, do you have some form of hope of causing some sort of checkup? So, but when you're in those last 5 laps and drivers are starting to go full out and just putting their car and the team's bank account on the line, that's when things are going to get the most sketchy.
Yeah, somebody trying to keep up, stay up there in that top pack. Scott Negus right there. Watching Surkovich getting a little loose there up on that top lane. Kind of hanging back. When I drive, I'm kind of where Scott Negus is. About that 15th position, watching that front pack do what they do best, wobble around, beat, and bang each other. I'm kind of hanging back in that aero bubble. I'm still fast. I'm still getting the fuel mileage I need, but I have room next to me. I'm able to kind of keep back and pick and choose. But yeah, like you were saying, probably about that 10, 8 lap area is when I actually start working my way to the front if you're back here this far. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see really the back 10 cars are going to start shoving, and the front guys are going to start blocking, and that's where you are going to see the problems, where guys are getting jammed up. But we are seeing that 39 machine, Scott Negus, are working his way, staying on that inside line, as you can see there. So, man, he's got one heck of a run here up to the 12th position, and he's going to start reeling in. He may get up a little farther if he can get past Richardson there. But, man, yeah, he had a heck of a run there. Went from 15th up to in the 12th on the bottom line, so that seems to be working for him. But, man, now he's right in the mix again with 19 to go.
Robert Rader and Ray Lane decided to go to the high line, and it is working out with the 93's help. They are going to clear Orlando and are going to pull down, but that's going to leave the 93 by himself with the 16 and the other cars on the high line, but he's now creating that air bubble in being that first car in that lead top line pack.
Yeah, maybe kind of an idea. Well, I've actually seen this out of another driver in another league. Christopher Darling did something like this kind of at a Michigan. We saw him do it at Daytona and things like that. And what he ends up doing is you kind of ride this inside line. They like the draft. They're going to start feeling that draft. They're really going to like it and start getting used to it. So then what you do is you actually fade up to the outside line, give them the draft, which actually slams a whole bunch of fresh air into Kevin Orlando's grill. So no longer is he the middleman who's able to kind of float in this aerodynamic bubble, but now he's going to have to all of a sudden slam this thing to the floor to keep up, and I'm curious to see if that outside line can start picking up a little more speed and collecting, but it looks like that outside line's pretty much disintegrated here, kind.
Yeah, as soon as the 53 and the 44 pulled out, then they just weren't able to keep that momentum that they originally had, and then back in 13th on the back straight, then the 341 got into the 29, almost caused a wreck, but the 29 was able to keep a hold of it, and the 83, trying to give a bit of space on that third high line, did get into the wall. So a lot of little mishaps caused the line to kind of break up, but I'm sure in a couple laps it's going to be back and forth and starting to march its way back up to the front.
It's going to be definitely an ugly one here at this point. It looks like Justice Murphy worked the way back up to the 18th position. So, fortunately, yes, on the lead lap, but it looks like Trevor Earhart and Nick Alves are still down pit road, so their night may be finished as they're watching this one kind of come around and get things going. Some quick little info here as we got Ray Lane, Robert Rader, and Kevin Orlando, our guys up in the top three who are not scared to be up there all race so far. A little info. Dale Earnhardt Sr. has won 10 races here, as well as his son, who has won 5. So something to keep in mind is 4 of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s were actually back-to-back for the 02 and 03 seasons. So they held him, 2 races per year, and he won both of those in each of those years. So really, the Earnhardts know exactly what to do here at Talladega. But right now, Ray Lane, Robert Rader up in the front pack right now. So really no danger of anything really bad happening up front. But really, we're starting to get that pile up here. It looks like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that may be one of the Johnsons up here. I believe Darrell Johnson. Oh, they're on the outside line in the 93 machine. So I do like seeing what he's doing. I try that kind of. Is you kind of see how he kind of nudged down a little bit. I do use that door draft on the outside. Definitely not the inside. To me, that's suicide. But start nudging down there a little bit. You'll kind of see on that dotted line. Use that door draft and it'll actually make that outside lane work a lot better.
But with that, you've also got to hope that netcode doesn't play a factor. Then also the car below you doesn't drift up. You've got to have a lot of trust to be able to pull off the door draft, but he has been able to as the high line is starting to come back together.
Yeah, and they really got to be careful. As you see Robert Rader and Ray Lane up here in the 1-2 position, they're starting to pull away from Kevin Orlando there just a little bit, and I would definitely expect to see a block on that high line once again from the 2 in the front. But really, does Kevin Orlando, where's he stand in this? Does he hang out here in the 3rd position? Because we've seen Caleb Gilbert before back in that 40 car. He doesn't want to hang out just top 5. I think he wants to get up here and get himself a podium position.
Yeah, obviously getting a podium you're going to get more points, and you get to come up and talk to us, so that's nice. But obviously, the higher you finish, the more points you get, so it's going to be on your priority list just to make your way up towards the front as best you can. But we, as you mentioned much earlier in today's broadcast, we did speak to Raider before the broadcast, and he said that he just wants to pick up some good points and not really give away too many. So we may see Raider just decide to ride, not really try to push anything and get into anything. But he does have his fast repair, so we might see something still.
Yeah, well, I know Robert Raider was already in one of those altercations, one of those incidents here tonight, and he's got to be careful, as it looks like Kevin Orlando's going to go ahead and work that outside lane in the second position. Here he comes. So it looks like he's got a great push there from Daryl Johnson there in the 93 machine that we were talking about before. So really, at outside line, if they can stay formed up, it will work. But these guys have just got to stay together, as I believe that is the 2 car. It looks like Tay McDonald there, back all the way back in 7th, has got to really use that aerodynamic bubble, pull his way up to the front and start pushing here, Kynan, for that outside line to really get underway. Looks like with Stanfield's on that outside lane. 29 machine. It looks like Richardson, he's on that outside lane. He's been favoring that outside most of the night. Bowden, we kind of see him up in the 3rd lane, though. But really, if these guys can get in a line and stay solid, they can get their way around here.
Yeah, the high line will ultimately be quicker, as you're able to just be a lot more flat foot on the accelerator, whilst the low line, having that sharper radius and having to carry that extra speed, mean that it's going to be a quicker checkup if there is a checkup. So the high line being able to carry more momentum, but that's if it can stay formed and keep it all steady. So it will be quicker, but you need the right amount of cars and right amount of drivers to be able to make it work.
Man, and right before we get to this 11 to go, we're going to go ahead and give a shout out to the last of our sponsors here. First one, Admin Box. Definitely one here for us here at 10-4 Broadcasting. Admin Box, awesome USB plug and play for your league owners and admins, and anyone out there who's looking to create their own league, such as the Racing Revolution here as well. You know, you're able to clear those black flags, throw out those stage cautions, get this thing squared away, really just by the touch of a button. If you can use our coupon code, man, I'm even going to give that to you, 10-4-box. And that's with 2 X's. That knocked that box down to $125. Go ahead and pick you one up. I assure you, you will not be disappointed. The next sponsor we have is Butt Kicker. I keep forgetting them some weeks, but they do sponsor this league here at Racing Revolution as well. Butt Kicker, feel what you've been missing. And last but not least, Chapman Environmental Services, proudly offering a broad spectrum regulatory compliance, permitting, field sampling services, and more. Visit ChapmanES.com. Really kind, and we're coming down with 10 here to go, and I cannot wait to see what these guys have in store and what kind of moves, because I think there are going to be some dangerous ideas of how to get around here, so the spotters have got to be on their game. Yeah,
this is a track that it's not just testing the drivers, but it's also testing the spotters. Everyone involved has to be completely 100% alert. Things can go wrong so quickly at these speeds. Yeah, Martinsville, things can go wrong, but there's time to react because it's slower speed. But at these sorts of speeds where we're getting upwards of 190, 195 miles per hour for the real big checkups, as I say checkup as the low line has a big checkup, but the amount of speed that these cars are able to take, things can happen so quickly, and because it's at high speed, all it takes is ever so slightly, a small little touch here in the wrong place, and suddenly you're flying for this guy and everyone else is involved.
Oh yeah, we'll kind of give a little shout out there to Sean Lattin. You might want to make sure you are watching the screen right now, as it looks like Robert Raider in the 3rd position, moved his way up to the 2nd, getting that inside line working right now. So we'll keep an eye out for him and see if he can get it. But somebody I do not want to count out is Kevin Orlando. I know he's got that outside line, and I think he's going to start testing his luck at using a little bit of that door draft down toward the bottom. Kevin Orlando and Robert Raider have been practicing this all week, and they have gotten close. I mean, very close. If you saw how this started, I believe Kevin Orlando got Robert Rader by less than a fender. So we'll have to see if he can start pushing it. Yeah, as you can see, coming down for that door draft on Caleb. Caleb Gilbert there in the 40 machine. So we're narrowing down here, Kynan. 8 to go. So, you see the cloud cover here at Talladega. So this track's starting to cool down just a little bit, down to 92 degrees. So the tires are going to start getting a little weird, and the cars are going to start handling a little funny. So we'll keep an eye out for that right now.
I mean, the track may be cooling down, but the racing is not. It's heating up, and it's only going to continue to heat up until we get that checkered flag.
Yeah, really, the checkered flag, it seems so close yet so far away. As some of these drivers, looks like Richardson's already starting to kind of get a little sneak around David Stanfield here, so he's got to be careful. He's going to go ahead and stick it right in the middle of this sandwich here, so he's going to try that middle lane at 341. Hopefully, keep that screen on Travis Gilbert, because this is the time not to lose it, as he is reeling up the middle. Looks like Kevin Orlando is actually, actually kind of dying right there in the middle lane. So he's got to figure out where to kind of cut bait with this and work his way. Oh, boys, we got a clip. Looks like Bowden collected a few cars on that one as they are folding each other up.
We got a flip.
Oh, we got somebody on their lid. Is that Stanfield? Yes, it is. That is Stanfield. Massive damage. Hopefully he has a fast repair to finish this one out. That was a massive hit. As we're going to get this 10-4 replay up for you in just a moment. But really, I mean, it's just there's so much to get and so little room. And we're going to try and get back far enough where you can kind of see exactly what happens here. Stanfield did get collected in that as we get to our caution replay here. And let's see. So we knew the 83 kind of gets a little loose here. Catches Stanfield. Oh, Richardson. Does he pull through? No. He gets caught up. Waiting for Sirkovich to hold off that ricochet there. The 83. 16 trying to get out of there. Looks like a Likens there. Got a little bit of trouble before. Back up into Stanfield again. So just when he thought he was out of it, Loveland's able to escape. 48 machine's able to escape. Johnson there. Wow. Wow, that was kind of a pile up there, kind of.
Yeah, it just looked like perhaps Bowden's muscles were just tensing up as we closed into towards the end of the race, and it just got tight going into the turn. And just being in that middle, when it does get tight like that, there's not a lot that can really be done at that situation. But luckily, the 83 does still have a fast repair from avoiding the past couple wrecks, so it's not all over for him just yet, but it's definitely going to make, if another wreck does happen, it can be detrimental.
All right, and we'll take a ride along here with David Stanfield here and kind of see what he saw. Unfortunately, getting into this turn, sees nothing. Maybe a little blip out of that mirror. Thinks he's clear. No! Got him again. Oh, God, and there he is. Up on the lid, back on the tires. Boy, and he's got massive damage on that one. You see the RPMs having a little trouble there steadying out. So we'll have to keep an eye out for David Stanfield there if he was able to survive, if he was smart and kept that fast repair, as he's going to have to work his way all the way back around the track. I do not see engine damage, fortunately.
Engine damage on this track feels like it's a lot worse than what it actually is, but just because of how important having a fully functioning engine for this track, and even aero, the second something gets a little bit affected, it can suddenly snowball out of control, and suddenly you've lost the draft in just half a lap.
Man, yeah, really, fortunately, look at that. David Stanfield saved his fast repair. So that 31 machine, unscratched, back out front. I mean, awesome. So, yeah, no harm, no foul, but he is back in the 15th position. Adam Bowden, who kind of got a little loose there before, it seems he got his fix, but is up in the 12th position. So it seems 12th back has gone ahead and pit so far here, Kynan, with 5 to go. Really, you would think switch it up a little bit. come down pit road, put 4 tires on this thing, and see what happens. I mean, this could be a game changer here right toward the end. If, maybe just a few extra percent more could assist you if you want to make some of those aggressive moves that some of these drivers have been trying out here tonight. But
Personally,
Sean, yeah, oh sorry, go ahead, Connor.
Personally, I'd actually want to stay out, get the track position. If a wreck happens, even 1 or 2 cars behind me and suddenly the track is blocked behind me, on which I would normally be collected if I did pit and take those 4 tires, but with now, it's time to go. There's no more hanging back. Even though I have won from 12th at Daytona, yes, it's Daytona, but if everything can go wrong in front of you, but you don't get it caught up in all the chaos, suddenly you can come out victorious. So it's not over from 12th on back, but it makes it a lot harder. So I'd want to try elevate my way up a little bit more. Somewhere I would not want to be right now, though, is first or second. I'd want to be third or fourth. Then I have control over the race.
And speaking of 12, Justice Murphy in the 12 machine has worked his way up into 9th. So really in a happy position, nice place to be from being a lap down, kind of getting caught up in a bad situation, up in the top 10 right now. So this is going really great for him. We will be under green with 3 to go. So, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat. I know Sean Lattin, he says he's out for it. He's going to be watching this. And Stellar Stella out there in the chat. Come on, guys, you can make it to the end without another big one. I would like to say so, but maybe not. I know these guys are looking to really push this thing around. And fortunately, they did decide to do a fast repair here for tonight. We did, Kynan and I saw at Pocono, it wiped out half the field, and it was just a backbreaker. I do like how, it gives these guys that second opportunity. And Talladega, all it takes is one hiccup, one sneeze, one itch on your nose, and and then you've bumped into somebody. And it's just, we've been here for over an hour. That wheel and the force feedback is starting to wear and tear on you, and really kind of playing with the throttle. Your calf and your ankles starting to bother you on that gas pedal because you've been feathering it really hard. But right now it's crunch time. 3 to go. Got to shake out your arms. Give yourself that slap on the side of the head if you're playing football. But these guys have really got to get this thing around, as it looks like Robert Rader's going to start on the outside line of that front row. So here's the nail-biting part. Everybody's going to kind of really bunch up here right during that restart zone of that Geico area. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see how Ray Lane goes ahead and takes us away on this green flag restart here, Kynan.
The 40 has to be as aggressive as he can just to make sure that the 53 of Raider can not get onto that low line in front of him. So expect the 40 to be aggressive. Once he got into that third gear, he just fell off a little bit. 14 is on the back of the 53, so we may see Raider decide to stay on that high line. I say that right as he decides to cut down in front of the 40.
Oh, yeah. Well, Robert Raider has noticed that outside line is not working for him tonight. But, boy, he's going to try it again. Go ahead and get a little bit of draft out of that guy. Have Ray Lane behind him and try to work that outside. But as you say that, 40 car of Caleb giving one heck of a push. Oh, as that 14 car is looking to try to open up for a 30 wide lane. But no, says Ray Lane, I am not going to slide below that yellow line. Either you stay up there or or you be square. Right now, Ray Lane on the inside. Caleb Gilbert trying to go ahead and take that second position. Right now, if you are that 14 car, Kynan, you've got to push Robert Raider as hard as you can.
And we got a wreck.
It looks like Tay McDonald goes ahead and he's turned around. As we're under caution. I'm going to blame this one. I will not blame this one on commentator curse. I think I might for once. I think I'm going to call out one of our viewers out there, Stellar Stella. You may have caused this one. As you call for another big one, as hopefully this will be the last time for something like this to happen. Unfortunately, just a little too much draft and maybe something happened and just got turned around in the wrong spot. But we will double check with our Michelin chopper view here and make sure it is not netcode that you like to say as we're under caution. Here is Tay McDonald in the number 2 car. Let's see what we got here. Oh, we do make contact. Oh,
How it snapped just then is very strange.
as it
The
Justice.
83 got very lucky, however.
Oh, does Justin Murphy? No.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Justin Murphy got collected in that one. 18 kind of bumped. And
How
actually,
the 83 survived that, I have no idea.
wow. And that may do it for Justice Murphy tonight. He may be able to get it down pit road and kind of get that thing straightened back out, but really get down in that grass. Kind of safest place to be at this point.
Tempers did flare after that, so definitely things are starting to heat up.
Oh yeah, well I'm sure these guys. I would not want to be listening to that in-car radio of some of these drivers here. This is you got to be pretty upset about that. As we're gonna take another look here at this replay, kind of see when you were saying kind of that bump there. We see the two, Tay kind of get up into Travis Gilbert there. But when Gilbert kind of straightens back out, boy, that takes the nose of that car and sends that two car out of control and around. Interesting to
Very
see the
strange with
341
how
to get out of there, though.
Very aggressive with how it snapped, but the 83, he did netcode slightly into there, but I don't believe there is too much damage done to his car, so we
Oh, no.
are going to have one green white checkered attempt at this, so it's now or never. If we make it to the white flag, all hell will break loose. If we don't, we'll finish under caution.
Finish under caution. No one likes that. I don't like that.
Where's
Man,
the fun in that?
I hate when they finish under caution. But man, I hope they should should have a green white checkered here. So really they're lining back up. So good to go. Looks like everybody's kind of getting squared away. Looks like we may or may not. Are we still single file? Yeah, we still got a couple laps to turn around here. Get this thing back under control. So really, if you were in the third position, if Robert Rader's in the third position, this is going to work out perfect for him. If he can get okay on that restart and keep Caleb on that high side, Caleb is going to roll back unless, Kevin Orlando, Blake Cook, or one of those guys can really get behind him to give him a push. But that's going to set Robert Rader up, as we saw him making that move on Ray Lane, trying to pass him. So something to watch out for is really, I don't think this is the end here, Kynan. I think we still got another shootout between these guys.
Hopefully we are able to at least make it to the white flag, because once that happens, all hell will break loose. That's when it doesn't matter what happens. If we wreck, we keep racing. So that's when things are going to get really interesting, but we have to make it to the white flag first. We have to complete at least one lap when we go back to green to then make it to there. But once we do, who knows what will happen.
All right, and pit lane is closed. So these guys are going to have to really kind of deal with what they got. This is kind of it for them. Really, I think the only one out, Tay McDonald and Justice Murphy are down pit. The only one out, I believe, right now is Logan Romney. Is the only one out. Earhart and Alves are still in pit. I think they're still trying to fix this thing and see if they can get back out there. But really, 19 down are all pretty much out of the race at this point. You kind of... You gotta, what do you do? You say a prayer or two right before we get on the green here, because this is still gonna be an ugly shootout here. I think we're gonna have some trouble diving into turn 3. Really with these guys trying to push. I know Bowden back here in that 83 machine does not want to be back there in 13th. He skated out of that last one, like you said. James Loveland, very unusual seeing him back here in the 14th position. Sirkovich has been tied up, in a couple of these wrecks here. In the 11, I think he may have sustained some damage. Excuse me, not some. He is missing almost the entire front clip there. But really, somebody who we haven't mentioned is Parker Johnson there in the 48 machine, up in the top 10. I would like to see some of these guys we don't really call out a whole lot here, kind of get up front and really give this thing a run toward the end. But, we are looking at some of these guys who are in the limelight, like Kevin Orlando.
Well, if you're going to finish well at any track, it's going to be Talladega or any big super speedway, Atlanta, Daytona, or for iRacing super speedway, but Talladega is very, it's a hit or miss track. You're either good or you're bad, but then you can't have both worlds, so then you suddenly have one good race, but then you maybe get wrecked in the others. You're never always going to win or perform well. There's always going to be some sort of misfortune, so you just gotta hope that your rabbit foot and your four-leaf clover are still effective.
Yeah, right now, well, I think's running is adrenaline right now. Everybody kind of worn out, but we're starting to get those end of the race jitters. They're getting ready to get this thing back under green flag. Ray Lane up in the front, Caleb Gilbert out on the outside. Robert Rader there in the third position, Blake Cook in the fourth. As we are underway, Ray Lane has gone ahead and taken that restart zone, and Robert Rader right on his tail of that 50 with that 53 machine. Had a great restart there, so we're going to have to see how he plays this, as he's not going to want to let that outside lane get to him. So does he play nice here, Kynan, or does he, or does he try to pass him immediately?
Raider is going to be watching his mirror, trying to figure out when the high line is going to be starting to come. Right now it's coming, so he's moved up, but he's not been able to defend it well enough, so he's going to get freight trained in that middle groove right now, so he's just now got to not drift up and cause a wreck, so he has kind of mistimed it and mispositioned his car, but we're going 3 wide behind, keeping it all clean right now as we come out of turn 4, coming towards the tri-oval.
Man, and really that white flag you've been waiting for, we're almost there, as we're going to see how it goes. Caleb Gilbert was able to slide to that inside lane when Robert Rader kind of made that little mistake there toward the, trying to go for the outside line, but he's sneaking and looking again. Really, I don't know if that is going to work out for him in that position, as now Robert Rader back to the 9th position. So you see these guys, no one is letting off the gas as we're going to rotate up to Ray Lane. Cannot pass below that yellow line as there's the tie-up. Loveland is around. Looks like Bowden in that 83 machine that you cannot miss has survived. We'll rotate back to that, but right now we are going to go ahead and watch this one to go. We are coming up on the final turn right before the tri-oval here, Kynan, and Ray Lane. Caleb Gilbert. Is Gilbert going to try to make that shot toward the outside as he goes ahead and pushes Ray Lane, getting in a tangle-up. He is around, as it looks like the 40 car.
Now.
As the 14, holy cow, as the 14, it looks like Michael Bennett takes the win. Caleb Gilbert in the second, and Robert Rader is able to save it and place third. Oh. Holy cow!
Fourth to first on the final straightaway.
Holy cow! Ray Lane is going to have some words with some of those drivers right there about that last tri-oval move. He had it in the bag, and it looked like he was getting ready to have it, but we are going to rotate back to some of these, some of the rolling here. I have no idea how Michael Bennett made it out of that. I have no idea. But we're going to rotate to the turn 2 mishap here of what happened there and see really if we can get this thing under control. Who slipped up?
The 83 wasn't able to make it, end up getting involved, and the engine just blew up, so wasn't able to finish, but the one wreck that he wasn't able to avoid.
All right, let's take a look here of this replay. We're looking at the 29 of Richardson. This was on turn 2 here. Ooh, boy. Looks like Stanfield may have come up a little bit. And look at the 83. Skate right out of that one. Loveland, Stanfield, and Richardson. So we're going to rotate up to the 83. And I actually want to put us live time and then rotate up to the 14th of the top 7 drivers here. 8. The 14 blocked that outside lane there.
That was very,
Let's see
very tight.
what happens. Right as we enter the tri-oval, this is where it gets bad. 4 nudges. Oh.
Netcode.
Netcode in Orlando. Takes out Scott Negus. Dang, Negus is doing so well. And collects those 2. As Ray Lane's still flying up the track. He's getting totaled. Presley, 83, got tangled up. 341. Wow. 341 back on the on the lid.
Oh, I thought for a second Stanfield was about to finish on his roof.
No, but somebody who I think did was Ray Lane. As Kevin Orlando kind of bops it off his car, and he is still on his roof. Holy cow. We're going to roll that back just one more time and take a look at Ray Lane through that entire deal in real time. What exactly? I mean, man, because I thought he had it. Caleb Gilbert had him on the outside. But I thought, Negus may have tried to push him right toward the end, but it was just a pile up, and it looks like Cook may have been the culprit in what happened there. But really, what a tangle up. As let's see if I can get us one heck of a view here of the 44 machine of Ray Lane, who unfortunately was in the number 1 position, finished in 18th. Let's go ahead and get another shot here. 44 up there in the lead, and let's take a look with him the entire time, and let's see how many times. Oh man, boys, anybody heard of pinball? Holy cow.
Oh, and he's still getting hit.
Yeah, just low insult to injury. Look, the 27 car of Kevin Orlando catches him, and I do not think he finishes. Right there is where it ends. Holy cow, that was that was a bummer. Right there. I mean, just really for Ray Lane there. I mean, just man, just really so close. Man, there he is. Man,
see, he's kind of just parted for Radar.
Wow. Really, to see these guys, really who ended up there. I mean, how did Robert Rader dial it all the way back and then survive to the end? And really, what a blast this was here toward the end of these guys being able to get this thing done, kind of. It's definitely not easy, not by the even a little bit, to see these guys just give this thing everything they have. But we're gonna go ahead and let's get Robert Rader down here. Robert Rader, you got a copy? Oh no, Robert, come on, man.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. I was gonna say, man, you got a copy on us? Guys, man, really, what was the idea of taking that outside line? I thought you may have stayed behind Ray Lane there to push really to about probably the final turn or so. I mean, was that outside line really giving you a run?
Well, it's a good question. It was kind of a tough decision because we were working with the BDE guys tonight, and so we had Blake was with us, a little alliance tonight, and then Kevin was behind him. So it kind of depended on how the restart went. If we didn't get clear, I was going to stick with Ray, all the way to the middle of the tri-oval probably, and then try to make something happen. But because we got as clear as we did, I knew they were going to have a run up the top, so I jumped up out there, and I think the bounty weighs a little heavier than the team alliance tonight, but I can't blame him for hanging me out. And then at that point, I tried to make a move 3 wide, and absolutely nobody went with me. So I'm like, all right, I get it. But then it went from like 10th to 3rd from the wrecks on the last lap, so I can't really complain. I guess we'll take the points.
Yeah, really, for you to be able to slide through there on that last tangle up. There was a tangle up farther in the backfield there, coming off of 2. Kind of caught Loveland up in that one, but Stanfield was in as well. But really, right place, right time, I guess, to slide from the 10th up into the 3rd position. I thought you had this one in the bag behind Ray Lane. I mean, how bad was the overheating? I believe we had a driver, Romney, in the 54 machine. I think he probably overheated and launched his engine earlier tonight. Were you having any problems with that pushing Ray?
Yeah, it was really touchy. I think it's the temp in the sim tonight is really high, so kind because we tend to use real world weather, and it's about 89 degrees at 3 p.m. today in Lincoln, Alabama. So it was pretty hot out there, and everything was overheating a lot faster than we normally would see. And so, you could only really push a guy for maybe a lap before you were blowing up. And so you really had to manage it. And I know a couple of guys had some issues managing it tonight. Not much of a surprise. It was pretty ugly.
Yeah, it definitely adds a whole nother aspect, is not just where to place, what line to run, who you're pushing, who's pushing you, but also, having a little room off to the side is being able to kind of drag up a little bit into the turns, get some air into that, into that radiator, cool that car off, and then, back in line down the straightaways to start pushing again. Really takes a whole lot of skill. Sean Latin out there, once again, made sure to have you in the limelight out there so we could all see, what you had to show for us tonight. I thought you were going to have this one, but, oh man, but still a third position, and you were even talking about points. Earlier before the race, you had talked to us. I mean, this has got to be great for a points running for you so far.
It is. I mean, obviously, I was hoping to have a good run. You never wish to see, your closest people in points have a bad day. I know Trevor had a poor finish because he got caught up in a couple of wrecks, and then Loveland got wrecked right in front of me there on the last lap, and that probably ruined his day for points. So, I mean, you hate to see those guys get caught up in it, but I'm glad that we kept everything clean, so we should be sitting pretty at this point. But before I head out of here, I got to go on a little sympathy tour. First of all, teammate Nick Alves caught him in the tri-oval and ruined his day, so I feel really bad about that, just trying to help and helped a little too much. And then Ray Lane, who seems to find a way to lose a race in every possible fashion. Should have like 12 wins with us at this point, and got wrecked there at the end of that one too, so from the lead even. I think Blake Cook, who he had a good shot at it, and he ended up in a wreck. I mean, there's a lot of guys to feel bad for tonight, but so I'm happy for my result, but wish it could have worked out better for some others out there.
Yeah, I'm just glad you guys were able to consider going ahead and doing a fast repair for this track. You guys probably won't use it at Kansas next week, but regardless. I mean, like I said, being able to have that fast repair and just give everybody that second chance. Even Nick Alves was able to get back out there, but he just got tangled up in another one later on in the race, and it was unfortunate. But a lot of guys had some chances, and they were able to get out there and make things happen. And you did a fantastic job out there in the Chapman Ford machine. And I'm curious to see what you can do at Kansas. But we will go ahead and let you get parting back with your team. But go ahead and give us a shout out from that 53 machine.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Chapman Environmental Services and Butt Kicker for sponsoring the league. Everybody with both of those organizations is awesome. So really glad to have them help us put everything together, and I felt like we put on a pretty good race tonight as a league, so really happy about that. And I think the fast repair is pretty likely to return for super speedways after what we saw tonight, I'd say. So all in all, just super happy about it, and really glad that we have you guys broadcasting for us. You guys do a great job, so appreciate you guys as well.
Awesome, cool. Appreciate it, Robert, and we hope to see you next week at Kansas. You got 120 laps there, so keep, get rested up, clear your mind, get on travel, and be ready to race next week.
Hey, we'll do it, man. Super glad for Michael Bennett to get the win, too. Shout out Michael Bennett.
Oh, yeah, we'll have him up here in no time, I assure you of that. And we have that it for Robert Rader. Man, really, there. But we, Kynan, I believe, really what happened here in that final lap, I'm sure that, the radio's lit up and they went crazy. But right now, crazy, seeing that 40 car being able to place in that second position. And I believe, Kynan, you have caught up with Caleb Gilbert.
What's going on, fella?
So, Caleb, earlier on in the race, we saw that in that first caution, you had just gotten to the 18 a little bit too much. What, did you really feel anything out of the normal on which you would normally push, or was it just a bit of netcode, or what exactly happened then?
Yeah, so what happened there, as I was pushing hard, I was trying to get the 18 out to the lead. I wasn't aware of the 0% tape. I started to overheat really quickly and wasn't aware of it at the time. Um, I got him cleared. I thought he was going to go down to the bottom lane with me, and I could cool it off a little bit. Unfortunately, I turned my wheel left, misjudged how close I was to his bumper, and got kind of hit him offset. So I feel bad about that because, did everything I wanted to do except for the turning part.
I mean, yeah, but it was unfortunate, but that's a part of super speedway racing. We end up seeing it from Raider, so can't be too hard on yourself there. But earlier on, then a bit later on, when things started to then calm down, at what point were you really starting to think that you might be in for a chance at winning or at least getting a podium?
So there was a point, probably around 40 or 50, where Robert and Ray were on the inside, me and Kevin were on the outside. I was able to get him clear. I noticed everything going on behind us. There wasn't a whole lot of momentum there. So then my new plan became sit on the bottom, run third in line. Robert's there. When he makes his move, based on the momentum, either stay with Ray or go with Robert. And then eventually, we ended up going with Ray there, and everything almost worked out.
Well, I guess if it worked out, then that's the main thing that matters. How nervous were you starting on the outside for that final restart?
So the new restart zone, not a whole lot of experience on it. I knew if Blake could get to my rear once we went green, I'd be okay. It's not exactly what happened. I got a pretty bad start. But then the bottom opened up right behind Robert, so I was able to file in there, which is fine. I was fine running second or third coming to the white.
I mean, it managed to work out, but you did pull a fairly late block. Was there ever a point where you thought this may have been a mistake?
Yeah, so I was pushing really hard coming to the white, and obviously the cars were blowing up pretty quickly. You didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room. What I did know I wanted to do was to get Ray out there, and my plan at the end of every restrictor plate, if I'm the pusher, is to always get the leader to the tri-oval, get us both clear. Once we're clear, make the move. Um, Unfortunately, I knew I wasn't going to make it that far as far as blowing up, so I pulled out of line. I saw the 14 coming with a head of steam. That's one of those things where you kind of close your eyes, say a prayer, let them hit you in the back. Unfortunately, they were kind of offset back there, not bumper to bumper. They were, left fronts and the right rear, stuff like that. So once it did, he did give me that shot. 14 was able to scoot through, take the dub, and everything behind kind of stacked up. And unfortunately, I hate it for Ray the most because what I was trying to do was trying to get either him or me the win, finish it cleanly. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I apologize to Ray and Jacob as well. Kind of hurt both of their races. But, I don't regret it. It's kind of what you got to do at the end of those. I don't think it was the worst block ever. But I think, it could have been better.
Yeah, well, still managed to get a podium. How do you feel going into next week with Kansas?
Kansas, it's probably my favorite racetrack on the surface. The service, excuse me. I love it. It's top line heavy. That's my bread and butter. I know a lot of these guys have a lot of speed, so it's not going to be easy. But of all the tracks on the schedule, besides Charlotte, I would say it's one of my favorites. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's always a good thing. Final question. Do you have any sponsors or partners that you just want to shout out for helping you get out here tonight?
I don't have any teammates. Shout out to the boys. My old teammate, he hasn't been able to get on the service in a while. Once I get him here in this league, things will be a little bit better. Shout out to all the competitors as well. It was a great race and I had a lot of fun.
All right, man. Fantastic job, and we hope to see you next week, bud.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys doing this for us.
Yeah, no problem. Man, there you go, Kine and Caleb Gilbert in that 40 machine. And really, what an exciting run he had here tonight. But we're going to cut away for a quick commercial as I catch up with our leader and race winner tonight. Alrighty, and bringing back up to the top, bringing back, what am I talking about? That 14 machine, man, the only thing bringing back is Michael Bennett being able to avoid that wreck on that last lap through that dog leg. So really, talk me through what, what went through your mind, in that Smart Wave Solar Chevrolet tonight.
Yeah, so on that last lap, man, I knew there was some space behind me on the low line. So when I saw Blake get up top, I just thought, hey, if I can get up there, I can give myself a chance. Finally got up there, and Caleb came with me. I could tell I had a little bit more momentum. So when he went a little wide, I just kind of shot that gap, and it paid off for me.
Man, that it did, dude. Man, that was so close. I have no idea how you survived any part of that last bit there. Is really just being able to be at the right place at the right time. Because man, once that spin out happened, it's like you just thread that needle right down the center, and was able to escape. I mean, that was amazing. I knew we called you out a couple of times tonight, but you were actually really one of the quiet drivers. Kind of hung out there, kind of in that really the no man's zone. Is that where you were trying to be?
Honestly, I was just trying to just run the best race I possibly could, man. Started out, I think I qualified 5th or 6th, and then just kind of hung out there, watched everybody kind of go up, pass me, go back, and then, like I said, kind of lined up right there at the end for me, and like I said, threaded that needle, so it worked out.
Yeah, really, that was really a fantastic job and a great piece of driving, and that's another thing you got to look at this, this over 2.5 mile track here is just the amount of patience you need. Some of these guys start pushing, and some of them get real fast, some of them, start slowing down, and really it's just kind of being in that spot, that you feel comfortable in, and then just knowing that you have that extra gear, behind you. Did you find any draft partners out there that you knew you could really trust and hang out behind?
Oh yeah, I had a couple of them there at the end. Blake, Kevin, and Rob were all with me there. So whoever got the run, we were just gonna help each other out and get the other one up there. Lucky me, it was me.
Yeah, really, man. You got to be thinking you were right in the middle of Ray Lane, Caleb Gilbert. I mean, yeah, and you were kind of the meat and the sandwich in that one, right in the center. I mean, did you think you were gonna have any help from Kevin Orlando and the four car of Cook behind you to push you to the end, or was it just kind of just a shootout and close your eyes and see if you can make it to the end?
A little bit of both. I knew if I got out there in front, I knew they would probably help me if they realized I didn't have a chance. But yeah, there at the end, we basically all just kind of said good luck to each other and went with it, and I just happened to be the lucky one.
Man, really, a lucky one. Man, I don't know. Yeah, we have Kansas next week. 120 laps there. For the Jimmy Johnson Foundation 180. So, Caleb Gilbert says he feels very, obviously very confident about making that run there. How are you feeling about it?
Honestly, I just gonna take it day by day, man. I don't know. I'll have to go and run some practice laps on Kansas, see how I'm feeling about it. Just gonna try and have the same mentality I went into this one with. Run as good as I can and give myself a chance at the end. So.
All right. Well, I was gonna say I'm trying to see if I can take a peek here, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this will add you to that bounty list of the winners on that bounty list. So you should be pretty excited about that. If you win that paint scheme, what are you thinking about doing?
Oh man, I haven't even thought about that. Honestly, all this is so kind of last minute, right? I got in here and was just like, okay, it's just Wednesday, and now here I am, in the winner's circle. So haven't even thought about that.
Oh, all right. Well, you'll still have plenty of time. You are in the drawing. There is still plenty of season left to go. But, here at the Racing Revolution, sponsored by Chapman Environmental Services, we are so glad to have you here at 10-4 Broadcasting as our race winner here tonight. And closing up, go ahead and give us some of your shout-outs there, bud, and we'll let you get back to celebrating this win.
Yeah, just all the BDE Motorsports team I got with me. You guys for doing this broadcast. It makes it, an even better experience to come in here and then, get the opportunity to do something like this at the end. All the sponsors, stuff like that. So, thanks to everybody who's putting in work behind the scenes.
All right, and that is Michael Bennett in that 14 machine. Great job tonight, and we are excited to see what you can do next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Man, Kynan, really, you see Michael Bennett there. I mean, taking it day by day, not really planning for the future. I mean, sometimes you get worked up and you're like, oh man, I got Kansas next. Oh, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be able, make it there? And then after that, I've got Nashville, and a lot of people have raced Nashville, and some haven't. And that's a crazy concrete track. He's just, let's deal with today. Let's get today finished. Let's make a good, a good run, and let's really come out here and have fun.
Yeah, I've made the mistake of worrying about upcoming rounds in league races too much, and then I find that it starts to take a mental fatigue, so that's not what you want, especially when there's still multiple rounds left, and it gets to the point where you just need a mental break. So luckily for him, he has the mindset that he's able to do that, but if he wasn't, then it's stressful.
Stressful it was, but Michael Bennett in that Smart Wave Solar Chevrolet, that 14 machine, brings it to the winner's circle down victory lane here tonight, followed by Caleb Gilbert in the second position, Robert Rader third, Brad Smith fourth, Travis Gilbert fifth, Parker Johnson in the 48 machine sixth, Kevin Orlando unfortunately kind of got tangled up in that wreck there at the end in seventh, Daryl Johnson 93 in the eighth position. James Loveland was able to fight his way all the way up to the ninth position, and Albert Likens there in the 10th position to round out our top 10. On behalf of 10-4 Broadcasting, sponsored by Admin Box, this is Patrick Morrison, followed with Kynan Jones there from Australia. He is so excited to be here, and we are excited to see you next week. 10-4 Broadcasting will also be holding the High Octane Sim Series on Friday. That is going to be a blast. That's over 250 laps at Rockingham. If you guys are there, we'd love to have you. Please join us. Thank you again for joining us here tonight, and good night.